Welcome back to Overhead Athletics. Today we want to talk about front leg stability in the throwing motion. We've recently seen some individuals who claim to be experts on throwing, and they're talking about how you can improve front leg stability in the throw or front leg bracing extension in the throw. Unfortunately, there's a lot of individuals who don't understand how they can improve it, so they want to tell you that you can't do it. If I couldn't do that, then why could I improve how an athlete loads into their hip, how they rotate in the throw, the position of their arm? And the answer is I can improve all of those things. I just have to understand the strategies that we can utilize to go about doing that. So we have those individuals who say we can't improve it, and then we have other individuals who are over cueing it. They're telling athletes, extend your front knee, work on extending your front knee. And what happens is athletes end up improperly contracting their quadriceps too early in the throw, and they end up having detrimental effects further down the mount. So what we're kind of talking about is as an athlete steps, strides, they get out there towards the target, as they accelerate their arm, bring their chest forward, their front knee extends, and they go over their front leg. So something like that. Now, what is actually occurring? Well, what's actually occurring is as I pull down and my chest gets forward, my front knee begins to extend. It's stable. It gives me some stability, but it also blocks the left side of the pelvis for a right-handed thrower from rotating, allowing the other side, which is rotating a little bit already, to continue rotation at a faster rate. And it also stops my pelvis from moving in an anterior direction, a linear anterior direction, and my trunk flexes forward faster, allowing me to throw the ball faster, allowing me to accelerate my arm over a greater distance, which increases the time, which T times A, when there's no initial velocity, equals velocity final. So I've increased my acceleration distance, and now I've increased the time over which and the distance over which I can decelerate my arm. So there's a ton of performance benefits to bracing with the front leg properly. Now, problem is you have a soft front knee, you have a dissipation of energy this way, and it happens due to a few reasons. How you're throwing, what kind of throw you're doing, weakness in the front leg, improper sequencing of your arm, and then poor flexibility, range of motion. So easily addressed is flexibility and range of motion. This requires hamstring flexibility, hip mobility, and if I can't do this, I can hang out here in this stretch and I'm stretching my hamstring. So easy way to stretch that. We've done a ton of videos on hamstring flexibility, so if you're someone that has tight hamstrings, you can't go down and get a good stretch, get down under your toes a little bit, then you probably have some tight hamstrings and you need to go back and look at those videos. But we're not going to talk about that ad nauseum today. We're going to talk a little bit about some other strategies and some ideas and concepts. So hamstring flexibility, really easy to improve. We talked about landing in a valgus position with that front knee in. Very inefficient position, lacks a lot of power, and often these athletes don't rotate properly, so they land with their foot closed and a plethora of other reasons. So we showed exercises to improve hip stability, external rotation, by attaching a band over here, maintaining a lunge, and putting it around the thigh. So the band's hooked around here, over there, I can't let it pull me in, and I can do the opposite too, where it's hooked on the other side. So now we can improve frontal plane strength, side to side. We can improve rotational strength in other ways, such as having the band pull me this way on an angle, or I can have the athlete actively turn out against the band. A lot of strategies I can utilize to improve hip strength. But we may also have a weak quadricep or hamstring muscle, so we can improve our hamstring quadricep strength, because if I don't have adequate quadricep strength, my knee may continue to flex. So I go here and I have a dissipation of energy, I never extend that front leg. So I can improve those things. Once I have an adequate amount of strength, and we see this a lot in our younger guys particularly, where they don't have enough. But once I have an adequate amount of strength, then I need to teach those muscles to contract together. So if I teach the athlete to actively extend their front leg, a lot of times what happens is the quadricep contracts really hard. The hamstring hasn't started contracting yet. I overextend the front knee too early. I lose speed, and actually, I end up throwing off the sequencing of my throw. What can we do to rectify that? Well, we have to teach the hamstrings and the quads that they need to contract at the same time. So some easy ways to do that are to make things less stable. So if you throw on sand, unstable surface, something like that, it's always a good option, but more easily done than that is have an athlete gain some momentum. So now if the athlete has to throw downhill from a crow hop, from a hop drill and throw, they now say, okay, I have more momentum. If I land on a soft front leg, I'll continue to flex and I can't maintain that. If they get their chest forward, they have adequate flexibility and they have more momentum, those muscles have to contract harder and at the same time in coordination to slow the body down. So I have those strategies to work on that, and there's a lot of different ways I can work on that as well. Those are some easy ones. Crow hops, throwing downhill, a crow hop downhill, and then what I can do is say, okay, now I've taught those muscles to work more in conjunction, but none of these things are going to work to their fullest extent unless the arm is in the right position. So if the elbow is low, it's got to elevate through the entire throw. This limits my amount of external rotation. I don't have as much range of motion down here. It's a physiological buttress or block inside the joint. I have to get the elbow up. That allows my lat to contract harder and a bunch of other things. But not only that, but it allows me to pull down. And so when I pull down, you can see even as I do this, I pull down, my front leg has to extend to stabilize and allow my trunk to flex forward. Because when I flex forward, I lengthen the hamstrings this way, my foot is on the ground, so the hamstrings attaching to the top of the tibia and fibula pull here, the quadricep contracts here, so the net forces into extension, and if the chest gets forward far enough, my center of gravity moves more anterior or forward compared to the knee, and I know this is getting a little bit complex, but it's important, is that as I get forward to the knee, a knee extension moment happens. That's why our wall sits are really, really tough when we're leaned back. When we lean forward, a lot easier. So my center of mass moves forward. So if my center of mass moves forward in the throw, knee extension all of a sudden gets a lot easier. The hamstring works with the quadricep to assist in extending the knee because the foot is on the ground and they're both contracting, so they're resisting hip flexion forward through the hamstring. Knee extends through position of my center of mass or center of gravity, as well as contraction of the muscles surrounding the knee. And then I've taught the muscles to work together. So if the elbow is low and I'm going up, there's no need for the front knee to extend. When I pull down, it does it more easily. And this is easily seen for anyone who doesn't believe this. Get a medicine ball, put it down by your hip, and throw up. So you're elevating throughout the entire throw. And what you'll see is your front knee never locks out into extension. Now, take a same medicine ball and step and throw it down at the ground. And what you'll see is your front knee begins to extend nearly automatically. So it's an inarguable point. The front knee extends due to the center of mass, this is biomechanics, and due to the attachment points of the hamstrings and quadriceps and how they contract and co-contraction at the same time. This is a Gary Gray concept. Randy Sullivan from the Florida Baseball Ranch has written a little bit about this co-contraction concept, but basically I have to consider where the chest is at, how the muscles are contracting, the strength of the muscles, and the flexibility of the muscles, as well as the direction the upper body or the torso is moving, as well as the elbow. So we got to teach these athletes that with low elbows that are going up, that they got to get their arm to the right position, 90 to 100 degrees of abduction, pulling down on the ball with their lat, using their obliques to rotate and allow them to maximize their linear acceleration, angular acceleration, and gravitational acceleration, as well as maximize the stability of their front leg and prevent unnecessary cueing of knee extension by coaches who don't necessarily understand the concepts behind why the front knee needs to extend or at least needs to brace forward momentum, and then how they can improve upon that through exercise, stretching, and biomechanical training. I'm Max Riddell. give us a subscriber. We'll see you guys in the next video, and I look forward to elaborating on this further, showing some throwers, and then showing some more exercises and stretches that you can use with these athletes.